Imagine a world of great cities filled with art, knowledge and bustling trade. Vast palaces and busy ports connected empires like Egypt, the Hittites and the Mycenaeans. These civilizations seemed eternal, commanding armies with bronze weapons and building monuments that touched the sky. But in a single lifetime, it all vanished. Cities burned, palaces crumbled, and trade routes disappeared. Writing and literacy faded from many regions for centuries. The collapse was so sudden and complete, it remains one of history's greatest mysteries. What could topple so many powerful civilizations at once? This isn't just ancient history, it's a story about fragility, survival, and lessons for our own time. We'll journey back over 3,000 years to witness the heights of this interconnected world and the forces that brought it down. We'll see how ordinary people faced the end of their world and what their resilience can teach us today. The Bronze Age collapse reminds us that even the mightiest structures can be fragile. Yet from the ashes, new societies and ways of living emerged. It's a testament to humanity's ability to adapt and begin again, even after total catastrophe. The Late Bronze Age, around 1300 BC, was the first great era of globalization. Empires like the Hittites and Egyptians communicated, traded and formed alliances across thousands of miles. Kings called each other brother, forging a grand family of nations. At the heart of this world was bronze, an alloy of copper and tin sourced from distant lands. This necessity created vast trade networks, with ships crisscrossing the Mediterranean, carrying metals, pottery, linen, and more. Each kingdom relied on others for essential goods, creating immense wealth and deep interdependence. But this strength was also a weakness. Life in cities like Ugarit and Mycenae was highly organized, with powerful elites and specialized workers. Most people were farmers or craftsmen, dependent on the system's stability. Specialization made empires efficient, but left most people unprepared for sudden change. When the system faltered, few had the skills to survive outside it. The prosperity of the Bronze Age was built on a delicate balance, one that could not last forever. The very connections that made this world thrive would soon become its undoing. The stage was set for collapse. Around 1200 BC, the interconnected world began to unravel. The collapse wasn't a single event, but a cascade of failures. Mycenaean palaces were destroyed, the Hittite Empire vanished, and cities like Ugarit fell in flames. Archaeology reveals layers of ash and rubble, evidence of sudden, violent destruction. Trade networks disintegrated, tin and copper stopped flowing, halting bronze production. Communities were left isolated, forced to fend for themselves. The loss of writing was profound. When palaces burned, scribes and their knowledge disappeared. Across Greece and Anatolia, literacy vanished for centuries. This was more than a collapse of buildings, it was a collapse of memory and connection. The world entered a dark age, a simpler, more isolated existence. The lights of the Bronze Age had gone out. Civilization had to start over. What caused this catastrophe? There was no single culprit, just a perfect storm of disasters. Climate change brought severe drought, leading to years of crop failure and famine. Starvation bred unrest. Loyalty to kings faded as hunger spread. Ancient texts reveal desperate pleas for grain and evidence of internal rebellion. As governments weakened, mass migrations began, displaced people seeking new homes, Borders crumbled and violence erupted as desperate groups clashed with weakened empires. Each problem made the others worse. Drought led to famine, famine to rebellion, rebellion to invasion. The interconnected system that once brought prosperity now spread disaster. When one part failed, the rest followed. The very globalization that made the Bronze Age strong made it fragile. The collapse was a domino effect, unstoppable once it began. The world was forever changed. Complexity had become catastrophe. Amidst the chaos, Egyptian records tell of a new threat: the Sea Peoples. These invaders arrived by sea, depicted in dramatic carvings at Pharaoh Ramesses III's temple. They were not just raiders, but migrants, families seeking new lands after their own worlds collapsed. The Sea Peoples were likely a mix of refugees and warriors from many regions, driven by famine and upheaval. They destroyed empires already weakened by disaster, delivering the final blow. Egypt survived, but only barely, its power broken forever. The Sea Peoples symbolized the era's chaos-displaced people, environmental pressures, and the collapse of order. Their journey marks the violent end of the Bronze Age and the dawn of a new era. Not everyone perished in the collapse. Survival was found on the margins. Small rural communities, hilltop villages, and less developed regions proved more resilient than great cities. These people were subsistence farmers and craftsmen, less dependent on complex trade. Their practical generalized skills allowed them to adapt when bronze disappeared. They learned to work with iron, marking the start of a new age. Strong community bonds were crucial. Neighbours relied on each other for help and defence. Local solidarity replaced distant kings and fragile bureaucracies. Survivors were adaptable, moving to safer locations and experimenting with new crops. Flexibility and innovation became necessities. Their survival was not guaranteed by a powerful state, but by their own ingenuity. In times of upheaval, resilience came from simplicity, adaptability, and strong local ties. These communities laid the foundation for the world that followed. The future belonged to those who could change. The Bronze Age collapse echoes in our own globalized world. Our prosperity depends on complex international trade, just as theirs did. Disruptions in one region can send shockwaves worldwide, as we've seen with pandemics and supply chain crises. Our systems are efficient, but lack redundancy, leaving us vulnerable to sudden shocks. Specialization has made us dependent on others for basic needs. Few possess the broad practical skills that once ensured survival. The collapse is a humbling reminder. No civilization is immune to history's forces. We face our own storms, climate change, resource depletion, instability. The lessons of the past urge us to examine the foundations of our world. Are we prepared for the unexpected? The survivors teach us the value of resilience. Powerful empires were brittle. Small communities could bend without breaking. Modern society needs more redundancy and flexibility. Local food, diverse energy, backup plans. Practical skills matter. Gardening, mechanics, first aid. These are investments in resilience. Community is vital. Strong local ties offer support in crisis. Digital connections can't replace face-to-face relationships. Adaptability is essential. Survivors change from bronze to iron, from coast to hills. We must be willing to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Rigidity is weakness. Adaptability is strength. The future belongs to those who can change. The Bronze Age collapse is not just a warning, it's a guide. By building resilience, practical skills, and strong communities, we can face whatever comes. The past offers hope, not just fear. Renewal is always possible. The ruins of Mycenae and Hattusa remind us of the delicate balance between complexity and resilience. The story of the Bronze Age is a cautionary tale, written in ash and rubble. Their ambition mirrors ours. Their collapse warns us to question our own foundations. The past doesn't give easy answers, but it asks the right questions. The ultimate message is hope. Even after collapse, people survived, adapted, and built anew. The end of one age is the beginning of another. Collapse and renewal are part of the human story. The wisdom of ages urges us to value community, practical skills, and adaptability. By learning from the past, we can build a future that is both prosperous and resilient. The echoes of the Bronze Age are all around us, if we choose to listen. Enjoyed the journey? Don't miss out on more history deep dives. Hit that subscribe button and join our community of curious minds uncovering the past. On screen, dynamic subscribe animation template. A glowing red subscribe button pulses, then a friendly hand icon clicks it. Confetti bursts as the bell icon shakes cheerfully. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next adventure.